Introducing a National Poultry Improvement Plan chick, which may look like any baby chick, but after seeing this film, you will realize that special care has been taken to select and blood test its parents so that it will be strong, vigorous, and healthy. Such chicks live, grow rapidly, and develop into good-looking birds that are profitable producers. If we mix this chick with ordinary chicks, they all look alike. But the National Poultry Improvement Plan chicks are more likely to be profitable because of the way they are produced. For 10 years, state poultry officials and leading members of the industry have worked on the development of a national plan for poultry improvement which would coordinate the good work that was being done in various states. 6 different plans were proposed. The industry was confused, and the poultry magazines were full of the discussions. Numerous regional and national conferences were held, but it was not until 1934 that a unified plan was agreed upon. This committee, which met at Cleveland, Ohio, was composed of representative breeders, hatchermen, and state and government officials, and they recommended the final draft of the plan to the Secretary of Agriculture. The plan became operative July 1st, 1935. The acceptance of the plan is optional on the part of breeders and hatchermen. It is administered by official state agencies cooperating with the Bureau of Animal Industry of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The breeding program is divided into 4 stages: U.S. approved, U.S. certified, U.S. record of performance, and U.S. register of merit. And the Palorum control work is divided into 3 classes, namely U.S. Palorum tested, U.S. Palorum passed, and U.S. Palorum clean. The official state agency signed an agreement with the U.S. Department of Agriculture which sets forth the responsibilities of each in administering the plan. Breeders, hatchermen, and their employees go to school in order to become familiar with the methods to be followed in selecting breeding stock to be used in either U.S. approved or U.S. certified breeding stages. The principles of poultry breeding are discussed in great detail. Selection based on physical characteristics is not enough. The use of superior bred stock for high egg production is emphasized. Experience in selecting breeding stock is gained by handling birds whose egg records are known. This work is carefully supervised by instructors in the college poultry departments and experienced breeders. Students are taught that in the U.S. approved breeding stage, the birds are selected for vigor, body weight, and egg production qualities, and they are also expected to be good representatives of the breed and variety. Each student must pass a written examination on the course of study given at the training school in order to qualify as a flock selecting agent. Permits to select breeding stock are given to those who pass the examination and are proficient in their laboratory exercises. Such permits may be revoked by the official state agency at any time because of inefficient work. The official state agency signs an agreement with each participating hatcherman and breeder. Such a procedure is businesslike and aids in the administration of the plan. In the operation of a hatchery, it is usually estimated that each 1,000 egg capacity of the incubator requires the eggs from 100 breeding birds. The selection of these breeding flocks is very important. Before the chick season, the hatcherman visits flocks in his community to locate suitable hatching eggs. It is the first time he has visited this flock, which he finds is composed of mixed breeds. He tells the flock owner that if she will start with U.S. approved or certified chicks, raising them under conditions similar to these in the orchard, she will be in a position to sell hatching eggs another season. All mixed flocks are rejected. This is the kind of a flock that a hatcherman is pleased to contact for the supply of hatching eggs. Not only are they good-looking birds, but they come from well-bred parent stock. An agreement regarding the sale of hatching eggs should be signed by both parties. Some hatchery operators base the price of eggs on the number of chicks that can be hatched from them. In advance of the breeding season, the hatcherman who has qualified to do culling and selecting work under the supervision of the official state agency visits each flock and selects the best birds for breeders. The poor producing birds and those that are not good representatives of the breeding variety have their tails clipped and are placed in coops and sold as market poultry. Those females which are vigorous and are good representatives of the breed and have the earmarks of high producers are banded with an official band and retained on the farm as breeders. An employee of the official state agency visits a sufficient number of U.S. approved flocks to check on the accuracy of the work done by the selecting agent. He is likewise expected to see that no birds without official bands are used in the breeding flock. Many of the official state agencies issue a certificate to U.S. approved flock owners after the state representatives have inspected the flocks. This certificate gives the farmer authority to sell at a premium in price hatching eggs from this U.S. approved flock to a U.S. approved hatchery for the production of U.S. approved chicks. After the flock owner receives his U.S. approved certificate, he may sell eggs for hatching only when they meet at least the minimum requirements of the plan. Such eggs must have a smooth shell and weigh at least 1 11/12 ounces each, or 23 ounces per dozen. Eggs smaller than this are not to be used in producing U.S. approved chicks. Hatchery flock owners are encouraged to gather eggs frequently, handle them carefully, and deliver at least once each week to the hatchery. This is especially important to the farmer when the amount of the premium is based on the hatchability of the eggs. After the eggs are received at the hatchery, they are examined carefully to remove any that are undersized, cracked, ill-shapen, or tinted, in case they are from white egg breeds. Only selected eggs are placed in the trays. These loaded trays are now ready to be placed in the incubator for hatching. In some hatcheries, the fertile eggs are transferred to a separate hatcher on the 18th day of incubation. Each U.S. approved hatchery must be inspected by an official state inspector during the hatching season. On this unannounced visit, he observes the conditions in the entire plant in regard to sanitation and cleanliness. He checks the identity of eggs in the incubator to determine whether they are from flocks all qualified to sell eggs to this hatchery. He examined the eggs for size, shape, and color. Good hatches and strong chicks are the result of using eggs from healthy, vigorous, well-cared-for breeding stock and incubating the eggs under optimum conditions. Soon after the chicks are hatched, they are ready to be shipped from the hatchery to the customer. But all chicks are not saleable, even from the best of flocks. Those that appear to lack vigor and vitality, or fail to show fluffy down, or have body deformities, do not meet with the required standards for normal chicks. Such chicks are sorted out and not sold as U.S. approved. After the chicks are sorted, they are put into specially designed shipping boxes. They must be shipped to reach the purchaser within the time limit prescribed by the postal authorities. All chicks produced in conformity with the provisions of the national plan must weigh at least 8 pounds net per 100. Each lot of chicks is identified with official labels to indicate definitely the breeding stage and form control class of the parent stock. The U.S. certified breeding stage is more advanced than the U.S. approved. Aside from using females, which have been selected for vigor, body weight, standard qualities, and egg production qualities, they are mated to U.S. record of performance male birds, which are from hens that have produced in one laying year 200 or more eggs, averaging at least 24 ounces per dozen. Each male bird is individually pedigreed and is identified with both a sealed and numbered leg and wing band. The pedigree of this ROP male bird shows his mother a 4.5-pound bird, laid 210 eggs, that weighed an average of 24.5 ounces per dozen. This selection work may be done by a flock selecting agent, but the state inspector must re-inspect every flock. A certificate is issued to the flock owner who gives him authority to sell U.S. certified hatching eggs. The chicks hatched from U.S. certified eggs are sired by U.S. ROP males. This means that 1/2 of their breeding has been contributed by U.S. ROP males that are from high egg production, large egg weight stock. In the second year, certain pullets from this mating will be selected and mated to U.S. ROP males. The breeding of these chicks will be intensified, since 3/4 of their blood will be from U.S. ROP stock. The state inspector visits the U.S. certified hatcheryman twice or more during the hatching season. The inspection must be thorough enough to enable the official state agency to vouch for the work done by the U.S. certified hatcheryman. The third breeding stage, or U.S. record of performance, embraces records of egg production made on the breeder's premises under official supervision, and records of egg production made at egg-laying contests. To qualify as a U.S. ROP female, a pullet must lay 200 or more eggs in a trap nest during the first laying year. The eggs must average at least 24 ounces per dozen, and the body weight of the birds must conform to that called for in the American Standard of Perfection. Each bird is identified with a numbered metal band sealed on the leg. The egg is recorded on a record form, and for 3 successive days each month, every egg gathered is weighed. An analysis of the performance of all birds is made by every successful breeder. To have records accepted as ROP, it is necessary to transmit copies of all production records to the official state agency. At least 7 times during the year, the ROP inspector visits each farm for the purpose of trap nesting all the birds, weighing eggs, and during the hatching season, checking the birds in the breeding pens. A study of the records and production cycle of each bird reveals mistakes in calculation and detects attempts on the part of the breeder to falsify his records. At the close of the year, the inspector places official ROP leg bands on all the pullets that qualify. Some pullets fail to qualify because of their low egg records, small-sized eggs, or lack of body weight. Others fail because they are poor representatives of the breed or have standard disqualifications. In order to maintain the identity of chicks from ROP hens at hatching time, the eggs from each hen are placed in pedigree baskets or bags on the 18th day of incubation. Each egg has been marked on the small end with the number of the female and the number of the breeding pan. After the completion of the hatch, the baskets of chicks are removed from the incubator. Then the chicks are wing banded and the number is recorded. Complete incubation records are kept, which the percentage of hatchability of each hen is determined. The wing band is placed through the web of the wing and is sealed with special pliers. The band is so designed that it must be destroyed in order to be removed. The hatchability of hens varies as indicated by the number of unhatched eggs in one of the baskets. This takes place even in pens where the hens receive the same feed and the eggs are kept under the same conditions. Hatchability is an inherited characteristic. Chicks from ROP matings are bought extensively by breeders and hatchermen to produce cockerels to head their breeding flocks. Such cockerels to be well developed and at least 6 months of age before the ROP inspector will qualify them. Every male qualified by an inspector possesses strong constitutional vigor and is a good representative of the breed or variety, free from standard disqualifications, and is then banded with a U.S. ROP official numbered and sealed leg band. The inspector makes a complete record of the wing and leg band numbers of each male banded. The U.S. Register of Merit stage is the most advanced stage provided for in the National Poultry Improvement Plan. It gives recognition to record of performance birds that have proven their worth as breeders. This is commonly known as progeny testing, and separate standards are set up for the male and female. Any ROP male is properly designated as an ROM male after at least 1/3 of his daughters entered in ROP qualify for ROP. That is, providing there are at least 20 that qualify. An ROP hen becomes an ROM hen after at least 1/3 of her daughters entered in ROP qualify, providing at least 4 qualify. This ROP male has qualified as an ROM male because he has 24 daughters, 10 of which are shown here, that have been banded as meeting the requirements of ROP females. This hen has proved to be a remarkable breeder, and she easily qualifies as an ROM hen. She has 8 daughters which have qualified as ROP out of a total of 15 daughters that were entered. Only progeny testing can determine the breeding value of full brothers. One of these cockerels has 30 daughters that have qualified as U.S. ROP, the other only 3. The control of pullorum disease is the second major division of the National Poultry Improvement Plan. Control is obtained through testing a sample of blood from each breeding bird and removing all reactors from the breeding flock. As already mentioned, the plan recognizes 3 classes in pullorum disease control. These are U.S. pullorum tested, U.S. pullorum passed, and U.S. pullorum clean. Each class, beginning with U.S. pullorum tested, represents an advancing degree of perfection from the standpoint of controlling pullorum disease. In the tube agglutination test, one of the 3 accepted methods, a sample of blood is collected from each bird. The leg band number is placed on the tube so the sample can be identified at the laboratory. Blood samples may be collected inside the poultry house during cold weather. 3 persons usually comprise a blood testing crew, 1 to catch the birds, 1 to leg band, and 1 to draw the samples of blood. Such a crew can collect 600 or more samples a day. Only a small amount of blood is necessary from each bird, and little trouble is ever experienced by excess bleeding. In the laboratory, skilled workers test each tube of blood. The process is too complicated to describe here in complete detail. 1 cubic centimeter of the testing fluid, called antigen, is placed into a numbered tube. The clot of blood is loosened so the liquid serum may be withdrawn. A measured amount of this serum is added to the antigen and the mixture incubated for 24 hours. The samples are then ready for reading. After verifying the records, the technician examines the tubes before a light in a special reading box. You will note that the center tube shows flaky particles. It is from an infected bird. Special care is taken in checking reactor samples. The number of this tube, which corresponds to the leg band number of an infected bird, will be sent to the flock owner. He should remove all infected birds and disinfect the premises. This farmer has received a report from the laboratory which shows that certain hens in his flock are infected with pullorum disease. It is necessary for him to catch all of his birds and compare the leg band numbers with those indicated on the report in order to detect the reactors. As he locates the reactors, he clips the tail, removes the leg bands, and places them in a coop for disposal. A reactor hen may pass the infection to other birds in the pen or through the hatching eggs to her chicks. The stained antigen rapid whole blood test is conducted in the field and read immediately. This method of testing is less expensive, and the birds can be held until the test is completed. Only non-reactor birds are leg banded, and all infected birds are removed from the farm at once. The vein in the wing is pierced with a small pointed instrument, and a measured quantity of blood is collected in a wire loop of proper size. The blood sample is thoroughly mixed with a drop of stained antigen which has previously been placed on the testing plate. The reacting samples may be identified within 2 minutes from the time the blood is mixed with the antigen. If we take a closer view of this process, the sample of blood from a reactor hen shows that certain bodies are growing together. This is called clumping. A sample from a hen that is not infected is shown on the right. Note that the clumping action does not take place and it remains clear. The rapid serum test is also a recognized method in the National Poultry Improvement Plan. It differs from the whole blood stained antigen test in that clear serum and unstained antigen are used. This test can be conducted only in a laboratory. In order to make testing work more efficient, many official state agencies arrange each year for a pullorum testing school to train testing agents. At the testing school, the cycle of infection of the pullorum organism is studied. The ovaries of the diseased hen become infected and transmit the live organisms to the baby chick through the egg. This chick may spread the disease to other chicks. In severe cases, the mortality may run to more than 50%. Even though infected chicks do not die, they frequently act as carriers and spread the disease to other chicks, thus completing a cycle of infection. These students are taught to appreciate the importance of careful technique in making the whole blood test. Before anyone is authorized to do testing work, he must pass a technical as well as a practical examination. Those who qualify are issued permits to test for the U.S. pullorum tested class. These permits may be revoked by the official state agency for unsatisfactory work. Another precaution that is taken is to ensure greater accuracy in testing for pullorum is the testing and approving of all stained antigen by the Federal Bureau of Animal Industry. Testing for the U.S. pullorum tested class may be done on the farm by any qualified person authorized by the official state agency. All testing must be under the supervision of the state livestock sanitary authorities or College of Agriculture. All birds 4 months of age or older used for breeders must be tested and the reactors removed. For a flock to qualify as a U.S. pullorum passed, there must be no reactors. A pullorum clean flock contains no reactors on 2 successive tests made at least 6 months apart. All testing for these classes must be done by an employee of the official state agency. This flock of white Plymouth Rocks was selected and tested by authorized selecting and testing agents. It is now classified as a U.S. approved pullorum tested flock. These Rhode Island Reds have met the requirements for a U.S. certified pullorum pass flock of the second breeding stage and the second pullorum control class. In this flock of chickens, we have birds which have qualified for the U.S. ROP, and they are not infected with pullorum disease. These conditions account for their being classed as a U.S. Record of Performance pullorum clean birds. Hatcherymen in the National Poultry Improvement Plan are required to keep all their incubator equipment in strictly sanitary condition. After each hatch, all incubator trays should be cleaned with a wire brush. Dripping the tray in a disinfectant bath is an added sanitary precaution. The portable vacuum cleaner is an efficient piece of equipment to use for cleaning up small pieces of eggshell and removing the chick downs. Fumigation of the incubator with a known strength of formaldehyde gas during hatching aids in controlling airborne diseases. Farmers with good flocks frequently have their eggs custom hatched. Hatcherymen participating in the national plan may do custom hatching under certain restrictions. This farmer has had his flock of chickens tested for pollarm disease by an authorized testing agent as indicated by his certificate. This means he may have his eggs incubated in this hatchery without danger of spreading pollarm disease. This farmer has brought his eggs to the hatchery for custom hatching, but since he has not had his flock tested for pollarm disease, the hatcheryman cannot place them in his incubators. A hatcheryman is not permitted to custom hatch eggs of a lower pollarm class than those which he is hatching for sale. The chicks on this map indicate the states in which certain members of the industry are participating in the plan. A list of these breeders and hatcherymen in any state may be obtained from your county agricultural agent, official state agency, State College of Agriculture, or State Department of Agriculture. This emblem is being used by cooperating breeders and hatcherymen. Labels on chick boxes indicate the breeding stage and pollarm control class of each lot of chicks. Thus, chicks produced in conformity with the national plan can be identified by purchasers. The objectives of the National Poultry Improvement Plan are to improve the breeding and production qualities of poultry, to reduce losses from pollarm disease, and to give authoritative recognition to breeding stock, hatching eggs, and baby chicks by the use of uniform terminology. And finally, through this practical plan, there comes a succession of benefits. The producer of poultry and eggs now knows with greater surety the source of high-quality baby chicks and breeding stock. The hatcheryman enjoys the use of distinctive terminology, giving official recognition to the quality of his output. And the consumer benefits by securing high-quality eggs and poultry produced with maximum efficiency.